Pearl Nexus is a flexible and reliable solution for capturing, recording, and streaming video at scale. Whether in a classroom, courtroom, or presentation space, Pearl Nexus is designed to play nice with everything, seamlessly automating your video workflow. So here in front of me, we have a demo running of a presentation space with a PTZ camera, a laptop video source, and a microphone. Recordings are scheduled in advance, so the presenter or teacher can just walk into the room and begin their session without needing to interface with the technology at all. When the session ends, recording files are transferred automatically. Each video source is recorded as an ISO, and I also have this paired with a content management system, ensuring the recordings can be accessed immediately. Finally, I have this Nexus set up with an output monitor and an integrated touch panel, so the presenter can feel confident and have some control if needed. From a management perspective, I can oversee my entire fleet of Pearl devices in Epiphan Edge. At a glance, I can check in on any space, operate the device remotely, and set up alerts for peace of mind. So let's dive in. I'll show you all the features and capabilities of Pearl Nexus and walk you through how we set this up. So let's start by reviewing the physical characteristics of Pearl Nexus. And the first thing you're going to notice is this is a rack mount 1RU chassis. It's very solid. You've got these mounts as well on the side, and if I show you here, there's 4 screws along the side. If you do want to remove these mounts, you can and use this as a tabletop device. Inside Pearl Nexus, there's a 1 terabyte solid state drive, so lots of capacity for your recordings. At the front panel on the left, there's a power indicator light, a streaming indicator, as well as recording. And then over here on the right, you've got an SD card slot. There's a USB port, as well as a 3.5mm headphone jack. Let's take a look at the rear I/O of the device. There's a Kensington lock, power button, 12-volt DC power input, 2 USB ports for automatic file transfer. You can also use them as video inputs for webcams or capture cards. Over here, you've got an HDMI output that you can use for a confidence monitor or a multi-viewer, or to output a source or a channel from the Pearl Nexus to another device. Here you've got an Ethernet port with a gigabit NIC, 3G SDI video input. You've got 2 HDMI inputs for video as well. And then moving over here, you have your audio inputs. So RCA analog audio, 3.5mm input for analog audio as well. And then you've got 2 XLR TRS combo jacks with phantom power. So lots of connectivity options here. Okay, so I've got my device powered on, it's connected to my network, and now it's time to actually pair this Pearl Nexus to my Epiphan Cloud account so that I can manage it using Epiphan Edge. There's a couple ways you can go about doing this, and we've created a video with a lot of detail of exactly how you can do that, but to summarize, there's a couple easy ways. The first is to create a pairing key for your Epiphan Cloud account, and that'll just go onto a USB stick, insert the USB stick into a front, and it will pair automatically. The other way you can pair, and that's how I'm going to do it right now, is to actually just plug in an external monitor to the output port. When you do that, you're going to see your IP address for the device right here on the output monitor. So I'm going to go ahead now and enter that into my web browser. And when I do that, I'll be asked to create a password. Once I've done that, I have now access to the admin backend, the admin panel of this device. And what I can do is just scroll down to network, and I'll see right here the IP address for my device as well. Verify that. And now I want to actually pair this device. So I'm going to go to my Epiphan Cloud account, and I'm going to click up here at the top where it says pair device. Now it's going to ask me for a pairing code. I can get that by going to my admin panel. I'll scroll down to Epiphan Edge, click it. I'll see my pairing code right here. So I'm going to copy that and paste it here, name my device. I'm going to call this Classroom. And then I can create a group for where this device will live in my Epiphan Edge. I've already got one here called Campus. And now I will pair device. So once my Pearl Nexus is paired, I'm going to see my device info here in Epiphan Cloud. And over here on the left, I've got a tab for Epiphan Edge. When I click that, I can see all the devices that I have in my cloud account. I've filtered here by campus, so we can see the Pearl Nexus we just paired. It's here. It's got a basic configuration on it that we're gonna set up in more detail. I can click into the device here, and I'll get all my basic information about system load, temperature, storage capacity, etc. I can see my firmware and update my firmware here. I can also click through and see the channels that are running on the device. Those are like my encoding instances. We'll get into that a bit later. I can see any inputs I have connected. Currently, I don't have any. I can also see any events that are taking place on this device. So setting up a schedule, whether with a content management system, or I can use Epiphan Edge to set up a recording and streaming schedule as well. I also have an option for alerts and presets. But let's take a closer look here at alerts for a moment. So I can manage the alerts that I will get from my device. This will give me some peace of mind that my device is operating correctly, and it will notify me if I have any issues. So for example, if someone were to unplug an HDMI cable, or maybe my network goes down, I can be alerted about that immediately. And I can use this to select which alerts I get for which devices. So very easy to sort of filter depending on the group that you have. Maybe I want to know for this device whether I have no signal on my inputs. So if someone were to unplug a cable, and there we go, I've set that up. And back here now on the device info page for my Pearl Nexus, you're gonna see at the top, I've now received 2 notifications that my HDMI input sources are not plugged in. So it's gonna give me some suggested actions. I can troubleshoot if needed. The other thing you'll notice while we're here is the admin login button. So if you are subscribed to a premium Edge account, you're going to be able to use this button to remotely access the admin panel of your Pearl Nexus from anywhere. So you don't have to be on the same network. You can be in a completely different location and still be able to access your device and configure it remotely. Okay, let's continue setting up this classroom, and the next step is our inputs. And we can support both physical inputs as well as network video inputs, so I'm gonna show you both of those now. Let's go ahead and start with HDMI. So I have my PTZ camera for my classroom on HDMI here, and I'm gonna go ahead and plug that into HDMI-A. And here in Epiphan Edge, I'm in my device, I click inputs, and right away I'm gonna see my HDMI input. I've got a little bit of a preview image and I can see what resolution that source is coming in on. I've also got my laptop video source from the classroom here. So I'm gonna go ahead and we'll plug that into HDMI-B. And here we go. We can see our professor's laptop. Next up, we could connect some other physical sources. Like for example, if we wanted to do an SDI camera source, we could do that. Or we could use a USB camera source like a webcam or maybe even a document camera. Lots of connectivity options here. But the last thing I'm gonna do physically is connect my XLR cable for my microphone. And there we go. So let's get a network input in here. I'm gonna click admin login. I'm gonna go into the administrative console of the device. And if I look here on the left, I can see my inputs. I'm gonna click add input. And here we can choose RTSP, an SRT video input. So maybe you're bringing in video from a remote location. And I can also see some NDI options here. And right here, I've got my NDI HX camera. So let's go ahead and add that. And it's gonna find it. And I can see it's connected, and I'll get a little bit of a preview image here. So there we go, lots of options for getting your video sources connected. Okay, next up is channels. And what is a channel on Pearl? Well, a channel is kind of like an encoding instance. So this could be used as a single ISO video source, or it could be something like a multi-source layout or a fully switched program. Pearl Nexus is going to support up to 3 channels of recording and streaming simultaneously. And you can customize a channel with things like resolution, encoding settings, and audio sources. So let's take a look at that now. Here in my device in Epiphan Edge, I click the Channels tab and I can see that there's currently 2 channels by default on this device, HDMI-A and HDMI-B. But I want to go in and customize those channels for my classroom setup. So I'm going to log into the admin of the device. Here at the top, I can see my HDMI-A and HDMI-B channel. Let's go into HDMI-A. And you're going to get some status about your channel. You can see the current settings for resolution and frame rate and bit rate, etc. But let's go into this here. This is my layouts. And for this channel, I just want to have a single layout, and it's going to be this PTZ camera, which I already have here. And I'm just going to check my audio sources here at the bottom. So by default, it's got the HDMI audio, but I actually want to use my microphone on XLR. So I'm going to select my XLR1 audio and I'm going to click save. Okay. And now I can also check the encoding settings for this channel. So I've got this currently set to 1080p, my keyframe interval. I can set my frame rate and my bit rate. So in some cases, you might want to put in a specific bit rate, like, I don't know, 5 megabit or 5000 kilobit if you prefer. But if I leave this blank, it'll just default to the default setting for your resolution. I can also see my audio settings here, and I can configure those as well. What I want to do here with my HDMI channel is I actually want to rename this, and I'm going to call this PTZ camera. I've also got some options here. If I wanted to stream this channel, I could set up a stream. Things like RTMP, SRT, HLS. You've got a whole bunch of different streaming protocols here that you can configure. So if I wanted to stream this channel to YouTube, for instance, I could put my URL and stream key into the fields here and start streaming right away. For now, I'll just delete this because I'm not going to be doing any streaming on this channel. And then I've also got some recording settings, so I can see all of the recordings that I've done with this channel. I can also change my recording settings. So here I can set up my files to automatically restart the recording every 30 minutes, for example. For my purposes, I'm just gonna choose an unlimited time limit. And why don't we make our file size limit 8 gigs? Okay, click apply. Now I'm gonna go to my second channel and we'll go to the layouts. And right now I've got my HDMI-B source here. You know, I could choose any video source I want. I could also use another channel as a source, but for now I'm just gonna choose HDMI-B. And once again, I don't want to use the audio from that HDMI source. I want to use my XLR audio from my microphone. So I'll click save. And there we go. And now I'm just going to check my encoding settings here. I can have my encoding automatically recognize the resolution, or I can select a custom resolution for my channel. I'm going to choose 1080p. I've got my audio settings. This is all looking good. I'm just going to rename this channel Laptop because this is my professor's laptop in the classroom. Okay, great. And now I'm going to add a third channel, so I can have up to 3 channels on my Pearl Nexus. And for this third channel, I'm actually going to create a multi-source layout. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so first I'm going to rename my channel. I'm going to call it Side by Side. And then when I scroll down here, I get a little preview area of what my channel is doing. I've got nothing in there, but let's add an item. You can add video sources like your HDMI inputs. You can add video files if you want to do media playback. You can add images or text. I'm going to start by adding an image. And you see here, you can drag and drop an image right here, or you can load any images that you already have on the device. I've got this blue background here, a nice gradient. I'm going to use that as the base for my layout. And you see I just scaled it to size there. Next up, I'm going to add a video source, which is going to be my laptop. And I've got that on HDMI-B here. We'll bring that to the center a little bit, and maybe we'll scale that up. We'll do, I don't know, something like that. It's looking pretty good. And finally, let's add one more video source, and this is going to be our HDMI-A, which is our PTZ camera. I'm gonna go ahead and crop this so that I can make it look nice and sort of frame the presenter correctly. So I'll click crop, and I can create a freeform crop here. I can also choose some preset aspect ratios. I'm gonna do a 4:3, actually rather a 3:4. And let's scale that a little bit, and we'll put it kind of like this. Okay, excellent. And now I will scale this source, and we'll put it right next to my laptop here. And that's looking pretty good. These numbers you have on the side of your layouts, you can actually dial in precise pixel values or screen percentage values if you want to get very precise with your layout. Let's add one more item here. I'm gonna add another picture, and I've just got a logo here. This is a PNG image, so it has the transparency of my graphic. And let's put the logo up here at the top. Okay, that's looking pretty good. So I want my audio source to be that XLR microphone. I can have multiple audio sources if I want to, but in our case, we're just using one. If I want to, I could have multiple layouts and be able to switch between them. So you can create as many layouts as you want here. Now, when I go back to my Epiphan Edge and I'm on the channels for my device, I can see those 3 channels that I've created. I can record. So maybe we'll start recording the PTZ camera and the laptop. And I can also choose streaming destinations here. So maybe with my side-by-side, I want to stream that to my YouTube channel. I've pre-configured all of these streaming destinations in my Epiphan Cloud account. So they're all there for me, and I can start streaming and start recording that channel simultaneously. Now that we have our channel set up, let's go ahead and pair Pearl Nexus with a content management system. Once paired, a CMS will control Pearl Nexus, starting and stopping recordings or streams on schedule, and automatically transfer recording files to the correct folder. Let's take a look. Here in Epiphan Edge, I can see my Classroom Pearl Nexus. Let's log into the admin. And when I scroll down the left under configuration, there's an option for CMS. And then I can select from a number of CMS options. Epiphan supports Kaltura, Panopto, Yuja. We'll also be adding OpenCast support soon. And we also have Epiphan Edge, where you can do scheduling right within the Epiphan Edge platform. But for the purpose of today's demo in this classroom, let's choose Panopto. So I'll select Panopto, apply. And we have some registration fields here. I'll enter my Panopto account URL. And then I need to enter the registration key for this device. So within Panopto, I can create a remote recorder, and I'll just copy this key and paste it in here. And now I'll name my device Classroom. And there's a bunch of other options here we won't go into now, but you have a lot of configuration options for your recordings. Click apply. And there we go. This Pearl Nexus is now paired with Panopto, and we can do some scheduling. Let's take a look at that now. So here in our CMS, we can see our paired device here, the Pearl Nexus Classroom, and I've got a preview of each of the channels we created on Pearl Nexus. If I click schedule, I can create a classroom schedule for this room. I've already done that. When I go back to my Epiphan Edge account, I can see here on the device when the next recording will begin in about 30 minutes. And if I click into the device, I have this tab here for events. And this is going to show me the entire schedule for this Pearl Nexus. I can see when my next event is starting. And I can also get some information about what channels will be recorded. So there we go. We've paired Pearl Nexus to our CMS and created a recording schedule. And the great thing here is that the recording schedule actually lives on the device itself. So even if we had a network outage or the device loses connectivity, it will still record on schedule and then transfer the recordings whenever it comes back online. Another option we have is to do your scheduling within Epiphan Edge itself. If you have a premium account, you can select Epiphan Edge as your CMS and set up a schedule for the device there. Let's take a look at that now. So here in Epiphan Edge, let's log in again. And within our CMS option, I'm going to select Epiphan Edge, apply. And we'll navigate back to our device in Epiphan Edge. Select the device. And we'll go into this Events tab. And here's where we can set up our schedule in Epiphan Edge. I'm going to add an event. Let's call this Econ 101. We're going to start today at 1 p.m. And this event will conclude at 2 p.m. And I want to repeat that weekly, and we'll continue for 10 occurrences. Down here, I can select which channels will be recorded. Let's select our PTZ camera ISO and our laptop ISO. And for our side-by-side channel, let's create a YouTube streaming destination. And the device schedule will appear here. I can see all of the occurrences of my recordings, and I can get a preview of which channels are being recorded and streamed. And we have a calendar view, so we can quickly review all of the scheduled recordings and streams that are happening on this device. Now let's look at another automation feature of Pearl Nexus, automatic file upload. When your recording's complete, they'll be stored on the internal 1 terabyte SSD, and we can download them manually using the admin interface. However, we can also set up Nexus to transfer those recordings to a chosen destination automatically. So let's set that up now. Here in Epiphan Edge, let's log into the device. And down here under configuration, we have an option for automatic file upload. Let's enable it here. And we have a number of protocols to choose from. For today's demonstration, let's choose FTP client. And down here at the bottom, I'm going to enter the IP address for my FTP server. And I have a login and password, which I'll enter here. Click apply. And I have a number of other options here, including file upload schedule. So maybe I want my recordings to transfer during network downtime, I can do that. Now that we have our FTP client set up, I can go into my channels, and under the recording settings, I can select which channels will be included in automatic file uploads. So we'll do that for our PTZ camera channel. And let's do that also for our laptop channel. Okay, that's all there is to it. My recordings will now transfer to my FTP server automatically. In my case, I've paired my server with a Google Drive, so everything gets backed up to the cloud automatically. We could also choose to transfer to other destinations like Amazon S3 or even something like a USB drive, so there's lots of flexibility to set this up however we want. Okay, let's talk about control systems. Although Pearl Nexus can be fully automated, we may also want to integrate with an in-room control system like Crestron, Extron, or QSys. Each of these solutions have plugin modules available for Pearl that can do things like starting and stopping recordings or streams, switching layouts, previewing channels, and even creating and monitoring scheduled CMS events. For example, here we have a Crestron touch panel connected. We can see our channel preview, monitor upcoming and ongoing events, and start a recording with a single touch. With the plugin, setting this up is easy. All we have to do is enter the IP address and login credentials for our Nexus. Epiphan also has a robust API that we can use to customize this experience, and we have a customer support team who can assist with your integration. Another popular option for control is Stream Deck. There's a Pearl plugin for Companion app that has a whole bunch of presets for switching, streaming, and recording, and we can customize it however we like. Okay, so we've completed most of the setup for this classroom. Now let's go ahead and add a display using HDMI output. So we have a display connected to Pearl Nexus here, and by default, it's gonna show us the device info screen, but I can also choose to display a source or a channel or a customizable multi-viewer. So let me show you how that works. Let's log into the admin. Scroll down to output port and select the HDMI output. And then here we have a bunch of options. Let's put the HDMI A input source onto this display. That's our PTZ camera. And I have a few more options now. I can choose to mirror the display if I want. I can also add some audio meters, which I will do. Let's add an audio meter for our XLR input. Let's put that in the bottom left corner, and let's make it a vertical audio meter. Apply. Okay, and now we have our PTZ camera on the display. We've got our audio meters here, and this is gonna make a really nice confidence monitor for our presenter. Let's take a look at some other options. Back in the HDMI settings, I'm gonna change this to a multi-viewer. And here I can select between either a 1x2 multi-viewer or a 2x2. I'm gonna use the 2x2. Let's put our PTZ camera on the top left source. We can put our laptop on the top right. Here on the bottom left, I want to put a channel, so I'm going to put my side-by-side channel. And then on the bottom right here, maybe I'll just put some audio input information. I also have an option here to show upcoming and ongoing CMS events. That would include something like a countdown timer for the next upcoming event. And I'm going to click apply. And there we go. We have the quad view multi-viewer. This could be really useful in a scenario where you have perhaps an operator who is switching an event or wants to be able to see all the sources simultaneously. So there we go, HDMI output. Lots of flexibility for how we might choose to use this feature. Now that we've completed setup for this classroom, let's take advantage of one of the most powerful features of Pearl, presets. With presets, we can create configurations for a variety of scenarios and then apply them as needed or copy them from one device across our entire fleet. This can be a huge time saver, especially when you're managing a scaled deployment. Let's take a look at how presets work. Here in Epiphan Edge, let's click into our device. And at the top right, we have a tab for presets. Scroll down and we'll see here at the bottom, we already have some presets saved locally on the device. These presets were created in the admin panel. We can apply them here, or we can actually create a new configuration preset right here in Epiphan Edge. So let's do that. We're gonna name this Classroom. And over here on the right, we have some buttons that can be selected to determine which components of the admin settings will be included in the preset. So in my case, I just want to include the channels, and I want to include the HDMI output settings, but you can choose whatever you like here. We'll create, and now we'll see that our Classroom preset has been saved locally on the device and that it includes our channels and output settings. But what's really cool here is we can upload this preset to our team library. And now any device that's on our Epiphan Edge account will be able to apply this preset because it'll be available in the library. And I can even add a little description here, standard classroom setup. And now this preset can be applied to any device in our Epiphan Edge account. So there we have it. Presets is an efficient way to set up and deploy devices or switch between different configurations quickly and easily. And with that, this concludes our walkthrough of Pearl Nexus. We've covered a lot of ground today, so thanks for sticking with me. And if you'd like to learn more, we can set up a personalized demo. So don't hesitate to reach us through our website, or you can contact us by email, info@epiphan.com.